Liberal leader Justin Trudeau is on his way to Thunder Bay for a campaign stop and a rally tonight at the LU Outpost. We're expecting the call from him, and there it is. John speaking.
Hi, John. It's Justin Trudeau calling.
Oh, well, hi, Justin. I didn't expect to have you taking the call right away.
Well, no, it's a campaign. We tend to do everything ourselves.
Okay, so there are no people making the call for you then.
Yeah, I kind of, I've been Prime Minister for 4 years. It's nice to be able to dial my own phone.
Well, that's good. Well, thank you, sir, first for taking the time in talking to us today. It is a privilege to be able to talk to you twice this year. We spoke back in the springtime.
We did. It was a good call, and I'm glad we get to do this again.
Now, listen, there's a lot going on, and we're not going to get into anything that's really happened in the last couple of weeks because I don't find it all that relevant anymore. I do want to talk to you, though, about your campaign stop here. This is a big deal for you to be stopping here in Northern Ontario again, for you making your way across the country as this campaign is taking you everywhere. But when you get here tonight and the campaign stop tonight, give me a sense of what your message is going to be that's different than what maybe you've given the other parts of the country, and what more specifically, what kind of priorities do you have for us in Northern Ontario that's just about Northern Ontario?
Well, I've spent a lot of time in Thunder Bay in northwestern Ontario over the past few years, talking with people about the real challenges people are facing, whether it's challenges around Indigenous communities and making sure we're getting to parity, but lots of on education and things like that, but lots of challenges around infrastructure, specifically housing, specifically wastewater, where there have been real challenges for municipalities. I recognize that remote, rural, and northern communities face particular challenges around cell phone coverage and access to broadband, challenges that other parts of the country don't necessarily have the same way, and that's why we've been specifically a partner to communities, and quite frankly, with Patty Hajdu and the great candidate Marcus Pulowski, who's stepping up to be our voices again for Thunder Bay in Ottawa. This is a really important time.
Having the representation from Patty in her riding here and for the North gives you a different kind of access to the region. So you're hearing a lot more from her, I'm sure, about specific things that are happening here, right?
Well, Patty's story of having been so focused on helping people, on fighting for people's rights, on making sure that everyone has a chance is exactly aligned with my own vision of what we need to do as a government, as a country. And that's why we've made so many really big investments in things and announcements and things like healthcare, like fighting climate change in a way that is affordable for people. Just today we made an announcement that's going to put up to $40,000 up front in the pockets of homeowners and landlords and renters to be able to retrofit and renovate their homes to both save money and fight climate change. These are the kinds of things that I know make a real difference in an area where people want to be protecting the environment, want to be fighting climate change, but need to keep it affordable at the same time. And that really goes to the choice people are facing between going back to a conservative approach on things that didn't work for Thunder Bay, didn't work for northwestern Ontario, or an approach that Patty has shown, and Marcus, as he joins our team, will show as well over the coming years.
Over your last several years, sir, as the Prime Minister and with representation here in the North, what things do you think are your successes, are your party's successes in this region?
Well, listen, we lifted hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty across the country because we recognized that people need more help right across the country. But specifically for the North, the work we've done on reconciliation, on infrastructure, on housing, the investments in FedNor that gave a $28 billion boost that really moves forward in a meaningful way, more housing units across the country. Better wastewater and sewage treatments from Thunder Bay to Nipigon. These kinds of things are actually making a really tangible difference. But of course, a federal government has to do things that benefit the entire country. And Thunder Bay and the area is a place that has benefited directly from the kinds of approach we have that invests in people, invests in the communities, and it really does contrast with the choices that the Conservative governments are making. Doug Ford has chosen to give tax breaks to the wealthy. and cut services for people on health, on education. We're doing exactly the opposite. And I know people in the area don't want to double down on that conservative approach.
Now, listen, your message there is clear about the successes, but I will tell you this, that in announcing that you were joining me again today, the social media traffic that we got today, that I know you get all of the time, is very negative. It is actually difficult for us to even moderate at times. It just seems that this, and we talked about this the last time we talked about how the world has changed in the social media world, but now here we are in a campaign, and the floodgates of negativity have really opened up, and a lot of them are directed at you, sir, and directed at the Liberal government. That social media monster has got to be a difficult thing to navigate. And how are you getting your message out to try to combat that? Because it's got to be tough.
Well, I think we recognize that, yes, there is a lot of polarization. There's a lot of misrepresentation out there. There's a lot of really negative energy trying to make people even more cynical or skeptical about what can be done. And the way to contrast that is to keep talking about the things that really matter to people. I mean, how we're lifting kids out of poverty, how we're investing in communities, how we're helping people fight climate change and save money, how we have a real plan for the future. And that's the one thing that I am so confident about Canadians being who we are. We'll listen to everyone, and if there's people criticizing, we'll give them a bit of a hearing. But we also want to know what matters and what people are actually going to do to help our communities to build a better future. And that's what we're going to stay focused on. And ultimately, even with all the attacks and negativity, I know Canadians will make the right choice, because it is a clear choice in this election of not just about where we want to go, but who we want to be as Canadians. Are we going to be people who let fear and anger and negativity dominate our future and our choices? Or are we going to make smart choices about where we want to go and how we can get there? And that's really at the heart of my approach, and that's what I stay true to regardless of the insults and the noise going on.
Now, listen, you've watched and been through campaigns, and you've been through this election process. This one feels way different. This feels almost like the American political study that's going on in polarization and bringing people apart. If you're successful in all of this, you've got a lot of people to convince that this is going to be a good thing over the next 4 years. How does that message change if you're reelected? What's going to be the difference to try to bring that positive energy back?
Well, I think we're going to continue to demonstrate that we're focused on the things that matter to Canadians, and we're going to keep, creating context so that people can create 1 million jobs like they did over the past 4 years, while lifting almost 1 million people out of poverty. I mean, that approach of actually tangibly delivering for Canadians in a meaningful way, of building a plan to fight climate change, of helping people find family doctors, these kinds of things counter that tremendous cynicism and populism that holds sway. I mean, we saw what happened just here in Ontario with that. You don't have to go even to the United States for that. Doug Ford said he was for the people, and then he turns around and gives tax breaks to the wealthy and cuts services like education and health for everyone else. And I know people don't actually want to double down on that approach, and they don't want Andrew Scheer sitting at the same table as Doug Ford to negotiate the future of our health care, for example. And that's what we are focused on. I'm going to keep putting forward a reasonable, responsible vision for our future where we all pull together and work together. And like we did last time, in staying positive and bringing people together, I know that's not just the option that people will choose. It's actually the only way to build a better future, and I'm going to stay positive even when others go negative.
I have one more fairly serious, not serious, but a big question, and then I have some fun ones to ask, if that's okay.
Of course.
Listen, the cell phone talk has been a big thing in the news over the last couple of weeks, and your plan that you'd like to see phone bills reduced by 25% if you're reelected. Thunder Bay, as you know, has a municipally run telephone service that already provides what we think is rates that are a little less than what it is across the country. Talk briefly about your plan and how this is going to affect these local providers, and at the same time, how it's going to help them be more competitive.
what we've actually recognized that there are places across the country where there is more competition, where there are more choices for consumers, and the cell phone prices they pay are actually lower. So what we've said to the big company, the big three, is you either lower your prices significantly, or we will make sure we bring in even more competition so that you're forced to lower your prices. So this is about something that's going to benefit Canadians right across the country, and it is going to have an impact even on places where there are already more competitive cell phone prices, because we know that this is something that is it's not a luxury anymore to have a cell phone. You need it for work, to connect with your families. You need it as a part of daily life right now. And that's why, on top of that, we're continuing to make billions of dollars worth of investments in better broadband and cell phone access, particularly in rural and northern areas, where we know it still is not just a social issue; it's a safety issue as well.
And at the same time, the idea is to make it more accessible for those that can't afford it now.
Absolutely. That's a key part of it. That's where, dropping the average price by $20 a month is going to make a real difference for people.
All right. Tell us about this campaign. Are you tired yet? Are you ready to pack it in? Or, do you need a nap? What about a vacation? Is there going to be a vacation somewhere? You need one.
You know what? I am absolutely loving it. I mean, we've been having some great rallies with hundreds and hundreds of people coming out. We've had really, really positive conversations right across the country. Yes, it's hard work and it's a big country, but I love getting out so much that it's a lot of fun, and that's why I'm really looking forward to coming to Thunder Bay. I'll be tonight at the Outpost at Lakehead, and I really hope everyone comes out to for a big rally to talk about how we're going to choose forward.
Now, I've never been to a campaign rally before, so I don't know what to expect. What kinds of things do we expect at a rally like tonight at LU?
A lot of happy people gathering to reflect on the future, to hear a speech that shares a vision for how we're going to move forward as a country. A lot of turns, a lot of shaking of hands, an opportunity for me to meet with as many people as possible as we go through the room. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people bring their kids. A lot of people bring their parents. It's a nice chance to come out and celebrate democracy in a very loud and raucous way. And I know everyone's going to have a great fun at the Outpost tonight, so I hope you all come out.
All right, last question. So you're coming to Thunder Bay. I asked you this the last time. Which socks you got on today?
Today I'm in.
Just look at them. Just look at them and tell me what they are.
They are killer whale socks.
Killer whales. Wow. Okay, that's different. All right.
It's about the environment today.
All right. Mr. Trudeau, we will look for those tonight. I wish you the best of luck in the rest of the campaign, and thank you very much to you and your team for taking the time out with me this afternoon. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, John.
Have a great day, sir.
Cheers.